Okay, welcome back. Since the Israel-Hamas conflict started, we've seen an unprecedented show of support amongst college students for Palestinians. It's happening at prestigious universities across the nation, including Harvard, UPenn, and Columbia. Well, now hedge fund billionaire Leon Cooperman is cutting off donations to New York City schools.
That's right. But this all begs the question, why do students feel the way they do? And how did they learn to act this way or to say the things that they do? What's it based on? Our next guest says it's all because they have been radicalized on those college campuses. Branding advisor to CEOs and author of Intra Branding, the keystone of corporate agility, Marc Rudov, joins us along with media strategist and host of the What's Buggin' Me podcast, our very own Dennis Neal. All right, Marc, lay it out there for us.
Well, that's right. They have learned it at the schools. It starts in high school, where they're taught that people fall into two groups, the oppressors and the oppressed. 51% of Gen Z said that the Hamas attacks on Israel were justified. This is the same bunch of morons who think that men can have babies. They learn this in school from their radical teachers and professors. And the other thing that bothers me is that their parents keep sending tuition checks to the poison Ivy League schools. And they're radicalized at school, and the parents don't say anything. One thing that's missing from all of this is the ass-kicking father. One of the reasons that I never got into trouble was because I was afraid that my father would kick my ass. This guy is extinct. And Leon Cooperman said these kids have SHIT for brains, and he's right. They don't know history. They don't know anything.
Yeah, he's right, Marc, and you're right too.
Radicalized.
Marc, you're right too. You know, I remember, 22 years ago, standing on my rooftop in Brooklyn and watching the World Trade Centers burn from the 9/11 attack. Now, if we'd had marches with hundreds and thousands of people in cities across the country in favor of Palestine days after pro-Palestinian Al-Qaeda sent 2 planes into the World Trade Centers, I'm thinking we would have had a rather bad reaction to that this has happened on so many campuses: Indiana University, Arizona State, Cal State Long Beach, University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill, Cooper Union College in New York, where some Jewish students felt like they had to lock themselves in a room because they were a little bit intimidated by pro-Palestinian protesters. And what they don't realize is they're really protesting in favor of slaughter and terror. And what happened to these people? And it's the fault of their professors and the fault of the donors and I guess the parents who are paying the tuition. But what do you do, Marc? How do we fix it in campuses?
Well, it's not just being in favor of slaughter. It's specifically in favor of slaughter of Jews, because they've been taught that the Jews don't belong in Israel, where Israel has been the home of the Jews for 3,000 years. It's Emperor Hadrian in the year 135 who conquered Israel and changed the name of it to Palestina after the Philistines. Most people don't know that. And Aelia Capitola was the new name of Jerusalem. In 1963, Yasser Arafat is the one who started calling the Jordanians Palestinians, and the name stuck. So these kids don't know anything about anything. They don't know the history of Israel. They've been taught to hate Jews. And all the signs you see around, from the river to the sea, that's all about eradicating Israel, eradicating the Jews.
Let me ask you this, Dennis, here.
It's not just
let me jump in
slaughter.
here. Dennis, let me ask you, with the students or a kid, he's got a full ride scholarship to one of these Ivy League schools. I'm just playing devil's advocate here.
Yeah.
How do they turn that back? How do they not accept it here? And would you
There has to be punishment. And finally, campuses are speaking up. Rob, they're finally saying on Harvard, they're really sorry now that Bill Ackman is saying, I'm taking millions of dollars away from you, right? Because they're losing money. You've got to hit them there. These students, though, are they anti-Semites? Are they just stupidly liberals, libwits, libwidiots? That's the thing. When you have LGBTQ marching for Palestine and for Hamas, when these people in many places in the Middle East would be happy to kill or hang or imprison LGBTQ, you got a problem. This is just stupid liberalism run amok.
I don't know why anyone's surprised by this, though. That's my whole thing. This has been coming down the pike for a very long time. And now, with this incident, I feel like it's rearing its ugly head. You're seeing the kind of leftist and liberalism now. And you've seen some of the university presidents come out and say, hey, look, we support Israel. We support Israel. Well, you enabled this kind of behavior on your college campuses now for about 2 decades. So this is what you got here, and now they got to deal with it.
And what's really sad, Bob, is the only thing that's waking up these college presidents is the withdrawal of funds. Not morals, not principles. It's the withdrawal of funds.
And more of
that's
same
what's
then,
so
Mark.
sick.
You're in favor of defunding the campuses that do this kind of thing. I mean, I understand there's free speech.
Absolutely.
But also at the same time, free speech that's going to be subsidized by the government to let you come out and hate the government or to come out and hate Israel. I'm not sure you should actually fund that free speech.
Well,
Let them say it on their own.
You asked for how to fix this. I would suggest teaching actual, in Portland, you don't have to know reading, writing, or math to graduate from the high school anymore.
Exactly.
These dumbbells go into college. They literally know nothing. And when you know nothing, it's easy to radicalize you.
And they do know how to protest.
It's interesting. For the last 30 seconds, Dennis, so the kids have learned nothing when they get to college. How do you back it up then? How do you change it? Do you blame the students for what they're doing now, or are they stupid?
No.
Are they brainwashed?
I
wrap
do
it up
blame
in
the
10
students.
seconds.
You know what? These people are adults, and I do blame the students for swallowing all of it so blindly. And I blame the media for swallowing in all of it so blindly. But it's time for all of us individually to stand up, fight back, and be heard, and that's what we're doing.
Last point I'm going to make. Imagine being a right-sided student at one of these universities. You don't even have a voice. I've got friends who were there, so that's a whole nother issue we got to talk about.
And we're going to talk to a couple of them in the next hour. So
Bring back the ass-kicking father.
there you go. I think that's a good place to leave it.
Marc Rudov, Dennis Neal, as always, gentlemen, thank you.
Thank you.
You bet.